Hey guys, it's your boy Pooh, and I'm releasing this video on an auspicious day. Not only is today Halloween, but it is the 2-year anniversary of the channel when I truly began making content for it. Oh, and most importantly, it's Fred Durst Friday. And to celebrate all three, I figured I would talk about something people have often asked me about, and that is what I, as a creator, would make for the Dragon Ball franchise. Mostly my fanfic ideas, fan comic ideas, and scenarios. This isn't a what-if video. As I've said repeatedly, I'll never do that. But I will talk about scenarios that could potentially happen that I would make if I had the time and money. I figured it'd be fun and different than my usual, and who knows, maybe this will convince someone to join the Patreon. I have 34 patrons and I would still love to make a 100 patron goal. That's kind of been my goal for over a year. And you know, the next few vids likely won't be monetized, so who knows. But as always, don't feel guilted or pressured. Anyway, with that spiel aside, let's get right to the meat of the video. So if you watched my video on deciding to continue this channel, in it I mentioned one day I would love to write and draw a fan comic on the humans. Essentially, the premise would be set a few short months after the Cell games, with Yamcha as the main protagonist, though all the human Z-Fighters would be major characters. Now, I won't spoil everything, but the beginning would be at Capsule Corp. Yamcha comes by to try and patch things up with Bulma, who is thinking about marrying Vegeta for Trunks' sake. Yamcha and Bulma seem to be getting along a little bit better, but Vegeta shows up and gets angry. Bulma tries to defend Yamcha, Vegeta pushes her aside, Yamcha has sort of a moment of truth, and then he solar flares Vegeta and then Wolfang fists him. As an ascended Super Saiyan, Vegeta dominates Yamcha, obviously, but if Yamcha goes all out and Vegeta isn't expecting it, Vegeta can get knocked around in base form. In fact, I think before the Time Chamber, I think Vegeta might have even been around Yamcha's strength a little bit weaker, but with the Time Chamber, he has gotten stronger. However, Yamcha gets the drop on him. Yamcha then flees, and when Vegeta recovers, he goes to find Yamcha. Yamcha then meets Bulma at a secret apartment they used to use as young adults, before Yamcha hides out with Tien and Chaozu, and Bulma calls Krillin because she's worried. Yamcha and Tien and Chaozu go up to the lookout, hoping Dende can hide Yamcha. Vegeta knows about the lookout, obviously he was there during the Cell games, but not all of the rooms in the place, and they'll be able to sense Vegeta coming. So what they do is they actually climb Korin's tower and then only fly a short bit like they did earlier in Dragon Ball, although it would, well, you know what I mean, they climb like they did earlier in Dragon Ball, they don't fly up like earlier. Krillin then shows up because Bulma called him. However, something weird happens. There is suddenly an alien visitor that comes down on a disc to meet the god or guardian of the planet, as there is now a galactic council that is meeting in order to meet a new threat. Frieza was the strongest tyrant in the North Galaxy, but now that Frieza is gone, the other 3 galaxies and their tyrants set their sights on the North Galaxy, and the remaining civilizations in the Northern Galaxy need to band together or die. Because the 4 human warriors have exceptional powers, and the Galactic Envoy was sent to collect the god and the strongest of the world's native warriors, he beckons them to come with him, or the world could be destroyed. And that would be the beginning of that fanfic comic. I would also be keen on making a fan comic for an alternate timeline where Tien and Yamcha go to Namek, but I would need to think more on that one. I also believe I would have Nappa there too. Other than those 2, though, the next ones I would mention would mostly be writing projects. So let's talk about the ones I have worked on first. Firstly, I have written 3 chapters of a comedy fanfic called Dragon Ball Helter Skelter. I made this about a year ago, when someone dared me to ship Goku and Krillin's ex-girlfriend Marin. Well, it starts out as a comedy, but I think I'll slowly make it become a little bit more serious like Dragon Ball does. However, the comedy never stops. In this alternate timeline, it's a year after Trunks arrived, killed Frieza and King Cold, and warned everyone about the androids. However, it is Chi-Chi who dies from the heart virus, and she does so before they even make it to Namek actually, so she died a bit ago. The virus is dormant in Goku and Gohan, but after Trunks gives them the medicine, they're okay. Now, after much debate, they have decided that Bulma's suggestion in the meeting after Trunks is correct, and they start to work on 2 plans at once. Some train to prepare just in case, while others search out for the Dragon Balls, trying to be ready in both ways. Goku finds a Dragon Ball on a crowded beach, and the Dragon Ball is owned by Marin's current thug boyfriend, and I won't explain more, but that's the beginning part of Chapter 1 that I've already written. Again, I've written 3 chapters already. But the androids will get involved, as will a tournament, and some shenanigans with the Dragon Balls. I'll probably write a Chapter 4 soon. Then I have written almost a whole chapter of a Yamcha and Launch fanfic, where Goku, Bulma, and Oolong don't show up on Yamcha's doorstep. Instead, it's blonde Launch and a group of bank robbers, and both Yamcha and Launch end up traveling together to gather the Dragon Balls in an alternate version of early Dragon Ball. After that, I have an idea for a Goku and Bulma story. Okay, now these ones I haven't written yet now, but I might in the future. Okay, after those, I have an idea for a Goku and Bulma story, where Goku arrives at the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, having trained naturally without Kami, and there's something to do with time disruption, and 18-year-old Goku is transported back to episode 1 of Dragon Ball, and he meets Bulma there, though I might age Bulma up by 2 years for American audiences, even if I hate changing things around when I don't have to, but they get into a bunch of mayhem and shenanigans before being transported back to the main timeline with more training and a relationship, and Chi-Chi ends up with Yamcha while Goku ends up with Bulma, then maybe continue the story from there and see how different Dragon Ball is. And then there's another one that I've had in my belt for a while, since Launch disappears in Dragon Ball Z. After Tien holds off Semi-Perfect Cell, and he does it to save Android 18, 18 fills the role of being the blonde girl that follows Tien everywhere, and Tien just has to deal with it. Eventually they become training partners and she helps him get stronger, and though 18 likes Tien like Launch does, I haven't decided if Tien would reciprocate. But that's just a premise I've had for a while. I also wouldn't be against writing a fic with Tien dying against Cell and training for 7 years to be brought back during the Buu Saga as a main fighter, and potentially fighting a war in the heavens against the Demon Realm. I think that would be cool as hell, although it would be a different Demon Realm than the one shown in Daima. Oh, and I also want to write a Naruto or Jujutsu Kaisen or a My Hero Academia story, where Chaozu is transported there to any of them and just dominates anyone and everyone in a fight in any of those universes like he's One Punch Man. I also have some ideas on Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha. For Inuyasha, I would love for a bunch of different timelines to get mixed up, and now the heroes have to contend with other versions of themselves that made different choices. I'd also love to write something about Inuyasha and Kikyo, or even Moroku and Kikyo, since they are both of the priestly class. And it would also be awesome to write a story without Inuyasha or Kagome, or Kikyo, and Moroku, Sango, and Shippo need to combat an evil by themselves. As for Yu Yu Hakusho, that might be the only one I'd ever do a shameless self-insert story, mostly because I look a lot like Yusuke and act like him with my close friends, and that'd be hilarious for a comedy. I know self-inserts are really cringe, but I'm writing this, fuck it. Though I guess it makes some sense for an Inuyasha story too, maybe, because it is a modern person going back to the feudal era, but I probably won't do the self-insert stuff, but I feel like if I ever did, it would be those two. Also, I will say for my original writing, it has heavy Yu Yu Hakusho themes, obviously with bits of Dragon Ball, but it's about a 4-man group with similar niches, so that might count. Though I would love to write an indie Yu Yu Hakusho story after Yusuke Kuwabara come back in their early 20s and need to stop an invasion from an enemy that was locked in the depths of Spirit World. Anyway, I spend more than enough time thinking about my original writing. I don't have too many scenarios for the fiction that I love, but there are some ideas I'd love to explore if I could. Anyways, I hope you guys thought some of the ideas are interesting. I know I'll work on 1 or 2, but we'll see when or if I can with the others. I'll get to another Dragon Ball info video or dive after I make an Elder Scrolls video on my other channel, and I hope you guys have a great Halloween if you're watching this on the day I release it. Also, if I don't release this too late, Maybe Shaq can convince you to buy some sweets. Shaq?
Trick or treat, smell my donuts. I bet you didn't know, Krispy Kreme, we do designer donuts. The holiday is Halloween. Come taste our new donuts like the jack-o'-lantern, the new trick or treat, or the monster batter. Anyway, come by Wednesday with a costume, a fabulous costume, of course, and you get a free donut of any choice. One of these, the jack-o'-lantern, the chocolate ice, or the new trick-or-treat donut. Halloween is here. Come by with your favorite costume Wednesday and get a free donut.